it is Drew here from Lone Fox and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a new video that's also like kind of not exactly new, and you're probably asking yourself, what exactly does that mean? And I'm going to tell you in just a second. So as many of you guys know, over on my main channel, I'm Drew Scott, which I've had for about 5 or 6 years now. I do a lot of men's fashion and lifestyle, which is my first channel that I ever started here on YouTube. But there was a time on that channel where I actually uploaded a ton of DIY projects, and I really was focusing a lot on home decor and DIY, and I realized that a lot of those actual followers didn't really intersect. Like the men's fashion followers weren't interested in the DIY, and the DIY followers were interested in the men's fashion, which is very like common. I could totally sense and see why, because they're completely different industries essentially. So that is why I created the second channel that you're on right now, Lone Fox, because I have a passion for both. Like I love men's fashion and I love DIY and supplies. Or not supplies, DIY and home decor. And I want to thank everybody here so much for getting this channel to already almost 125,000 subscribers. That is absolutely insane. But there are videos over on my main channel that I privated a long time ago that I'm still so proud of and happy of, and the content is so amazing. And there are so many videos over on that channel that were DIY focused videos where I had so many amazing projects in them that I have unlisted for quite a while now, which essentially means just take them off my channel but not delete them. But now I was thinking to myself, why don't I just re-download them, zhuzh up the videos a little bit, like add a little extra editing in there, color them up, maybe even record some new audio for them, and just re-upload them here and make sure that the projects are absolutely amazing, cut out any of them that maybe aren't up to date or trendy, and just upload that content again for you guys, because it gives you an extra video, so many more projects, and those videos also don't go to waste because there was so much work put into those, and the projects are still the best ever. They're so affordable, so trendy, so modern, up to date. So for today's video, I re-downloaded some of those old videos, cut them up, picked out my favorite DIYs, and incorporated them into this video where you get a total of 10 DIY projects, and I can't wait to hear what you guys think. So definitely leave a thumbs up and let me know which project in this video was your favorite one. And yeah, I can't wait to do more of these videos in the future, so let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and let's just get into today's new video. The supplies for this first DIY are super minimal. All you need is a canvas, some flowers or leaves, and parchment paper. So I gathered these from outside, literally went around, picked flowers, leaves, petals, whatever I thought was interesting outdoors, and all you have to do is press them. And how you do this is you lay down a piece of parchment or wax paper, and you lay down your florals or like botanical pieces that you found, another piece of parchment paper on top, and just layer some heavy books on top of it. And I actually kept this pressed for about 4 days under this stack of books you see right here, and once they were all completely pressed, they looked like this, and this is how they're going to look, and they're actually going to retain the shape and color, which is extremely nice. You basically pressed all of the life out of them, and this is what they look like now. So I layered them on my canvas, found out where I wanted to place them, and just sort of maneuvered it around for a while and found out I love this variation here, glued them down with hot glue, and you are done with your super inexpensive canvas. DIY number 2, all you're gonna need is some sea glass spray paint, a glue stick, a vase, ruler, paper, and scissors. So I absolutely love the outlook of this frosted glass vase. I thought it looked so expensive and very West Elm-esque. And what I did was cut out 2-inch strips from paper and just cut out some triangle masks. And basically, you can cut out any shape you would like out of just regular old printer paper and apply a bit of Elmer's glue stick to the back of that and just let the Elmer's glue stick dry, because once this dries, it actually turns into a slightly tacky but removable masking like piece. It's kind of like a post-it note, if you guys know what that is. It's basically a post-it note. You can put it on there and remove it. So I actually place these down, and wherever the paper is, the spray paint is not going to go on the glass. So I then brought it to a box and sprayed a layer of this Krylon Sea Glass spray paint, which I got at Michael's for about $4 with a coupon code or a coupon, and then you just pull off the little masking pieces and it shows the clear glass through. And I would highly suggest that you also put a mask on the top of it so that the spray paint doesn't get on the inside, but it is removable with acetone, just to let you know. For the hanging mirror DIY, you're going to need a square mirror, some E6000, an X-Acto knife, some chain, spray paint of choice, a piece of wood, ruler, and some of those screw hooks. And what you're gonna start off by doing is taking a small piece of wood and cutting it down to 12 inches in width. And I actually just found this 24-inch piece from Michael's already like this. It was sold like this for like $1.50, and I just cut it directly in half by swiping over it with an X-Acto knife a few times. I then proceeded to screw some of these little hooks in that are meant for hanging things on the ceiling or whatever they're meant for. I use them, and those are going to be what's going to hang up the jewelry. And I suggest that you screw them towards the back more than opposed to the front, because it can split the wood, since this wood is very thin. And then after I got those in, I actually sprayed both pieces of wood, even the one with the little screw hooks on it, with this hammered glass spray paint, and then used my E6000 adhesive, which is like super strong industrial cement basically, to adhere down both sides. And this is just going to make sure that they stay super secure on top of the glass mirror. And then I just let that sit for a few minutes, or not a few minutes, I more let it sit for overnight. And then I added on the chain as well, using some big globs of E6000 adhesive, and that basically finishes off your hanging mirror with jewelry holder. This DIY may be the easiest, but it's one of my favorites, and all you're gonna need is a lampshade, some wood clips, paint, and a hot glue gun, so super minimal supplies. And I first started off by taking my wood clips and painting them black. And I just painted half of them black because I actually wanted it to be a variety of wood and black. So I first started off by just gluing the plain wood clips to the very top, and I did it about every 3 inches. And then below that, in between, I actually glued the black clips that I did right in between the brown clips. And then I just finished off with a bit of paint on top of the black, and you're basically done. You can clip your mementos on, and that's your new lampshade. This candle is inspired by the Labo candles, and I'm obsessed. All you need is a tin can, a wick, some old candles, and a hammer. So again, super minimal supplies, and you can reuse your candles, which is amazing. So I started off by taking my jar and literally just hammering it. I hammered it so much with a hammer, it was so much fun. And I just went around the jar, gave it some nicks, and I love the rustic, distressed look of this. I just think it looks so industrial, and it's perfect for my apartment space as well. And after that, I went ahead and put a skillet on the stove on very low heat and took 2 old candles. The autumn one on the right is new and used, or new and unused, but I just wanted to burn it down for this DIY. And I actually kept them on the stove for about 25 minutes until they melted down to wax basically. And I pulled out the old wicks, and then basically all you're going to have to do is take them off the heat, let them sit for about 10 minutes so they're not blazing hot, and glue your wick down on the inside of your hammered container, and then simply pour the wax in. And I suggest doing this over the top of a surface where if wax gets on it, it's not a big deal. So just pour your wax in, wait for it to dry, and you have your new candle. It's definitely updated and cool. Let's get into this wall hanging, and all you're going to need is some wood dowels, yarn, parchment paper, paint, and a hot glue gun. So I first started off with these wood dowels, which I found at Michael's for about $3. They're just like toothpicks without the points. And the nice thing about gluing on top of parchment paper is that the hot glue peels off instantly. It doesn't stick at all. So you can glue on top of it, create shapes, and then pull them off later. So I actually created these hexagon shapes using these small wooden dowels, and I created 2 hexagons that were smaller, or just like hexagon shapes themselves. And then I created a larger centerpiece that was actually 3 hexagons connected. And a cool little tip for you guys is you can actually burn down those weld points with the tip of your hot glue gun. So if you do need to like melt that down or make it look smoother or anything, if you added too much glue, use the tip to melt it down. And this is the center point right here, this like triple hexagon shape. And then all you're gonna need to do is take a bit of string, yarn, whatever you wanted to use to attach, and attach your shapes together, and you really have your brand new wall mobile hanging. And I think this would look so cool on a window, on a mirror, on a wall, anywhere you want to add a little bit of extra decor. I also forgot to mention that I actually kept it plain wood over the black paint that I was originally going to do because I liked the wood look much better. I feel like a pillow is always necessary, so I'm starting off with some jersey pillowcases, black dye, a paintbrush, and some foam cups. And I also did use a trash bag, which I'm laying down on the table right here just to protect my surface. And I'm going to lay out my foam cups or plastic cups or whatever you can just dispose of later. And I added a half cup of warm water or hot water to each cup. And then what I did after that was used the RIT powder dye, and I put 1 teaspoon in each cup, but I varied it. So 1 teaspoon in the first, 2 teaspoons in the second, 3 in the third, 4 in the fourth, and 5 in the fifth. So basically it's just a more concentrated dye as I go down. And the sucky thing kind of about this was that when you didn't have enough of the black dye, it was actually purple, which I didn't like at first, but as it dried, it actually kind of grew on me and I did like the purple. So keep that in mind if you're wanting a black or gray gradient. You're not really going to get it with this dye. It's going to be more purple based. And all you're going to do is take your wide paintbrush, and I just use like one of those painter's paintbrushes that you paint a house with, and it just allowed me to soak up a lot of dye at once, and I created a gradient like this, and that's really all. And I also did this one, which I think looks so cool with the split down the center, and the other half is white. In love with this. Would you believe me if I told you these coasters costed under $2 to make, and all you're gonna need is some foam core, some pleather fabric, scissors, an X-Acto knife, ruler, and E6000 adhesive. So you're first gonna start off by taking your foam board, and this is literally like that project board you use for science projects, and it's a foam-based one, and you're gonna cut them into 4 by 4 inch squares. I just found that this was the nicest size for a coaster. And then I used this pleather fabric I found at Joann's on sale for $1 for a 1/4 yard of it, and I just cut out with about 1 inch around each edge. I did it very roughly, and I E6000 adhesived the foam down to the backing and then cut off the corners like I'm doing here. So basically you're gonna want a tiny bit exposed on the corner like I'm showing, because when you fold it over like this, you want that corner to be pointed and you don't want it to be showing the foam core board. All I'm gonna do after that is take the E6000, glue it down, and then press a book on top of it so that it keeps the weight on there, and just let it dry for a few hours. Supplies for this rustic bowl are so simple. All you're gonna need is a glass bowl, some air dry clay, paint, and a paintbrush. So this is the air dry clay. I actually got this at Target in the kids section. It's very easy to work with. I love it. I'm never gonna switch back to the normal clay. Plus it dries in the air, which is really nice compared to having to like physically go bake it in an oven, you know? So I took this dollar bowl from Target. It's just a glass bowl, and I covered it in a layer of the air dry clay. And once you have your full layer on, I used a little bit of water on my fingertips to just smooth the surface. And I actually learned this in a ceramics class I took in high school, so it's coming in handy right now. But you can just use a little bit of water, it smooths down the surface, and it makes all cracks disappear and just everything just kind of meld a little bit better. And then I used a small piece of parchment paper and a heavy object to create a new bottom for this bowl. And then after that, I used a paintbrush, and I used the opposite end of the paintbrush to draw in some horizontal lines, just because I wanted a little bit of texture, and then once again went back in with that water to just clean up the lines, and this made it look so much better. Like if I didn't use this, it would have looked a little bit rough and jagged, which it did on the top, which I was able to fix with this nail file. So I used a nail file to roughen or just clean off those edges. And lastly, went in with a little bit of paint. So this is just watered down black paint, and I just painted it however I felt. I did a little bit of an ombre, and then also filled in all of those lines to just deepen the design, and added my signature on the bottom for authenticity. Gotta save one of my favorites for last, and all you're gonna need for this is some more foam core, an album, E6000, black cord, an X-Acto knife, and your ruler. So what you're gonna start off by doing is measuring out two 14 by 14 inch squares on your foam board. And keep in mind, this foam board is literally from the Dollar Tree, so super inexpensive. And after you cut out your 14 by 14 squares, on one of them, you're going to cut a window out. And how I did this was measured in 1 1/4 inches on all edges, and then cut out the square it created in the center, which you could see me doing right now. That will create the window, which you're gonna see the album through. So what I did was I then cut out 2 1/2-inch strips of the foam core in just whatever size, because I'm actually going to fit it to length here. So you're gonna lay your album down, put the 1/2-inch piece down, and then fit it to length. So you're gonna want it to go around 3 edges, because you're going to want the album to be able to slip through the top. So I took my E6000 adhesive and glued it down to the album, as close as I could to the album, because we're gonna have a little bit of cording on the outside in between the sandwich frame and the frame backing, if that makes sense. You'll see what I mean in a second here. So I glued those down like such, and then I added another layer of glue on top of those pieces and sandwiched on the top of the frame. So this is gonna finish off the frame. You can slip your album in, the black cord goes all the way around, and you tie it in a knot, you hang it on the wall, and this was like a $2 album frame, which I am totally obsessed with. You can customize it however you'd like as well. So guys, that was today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope that some of those projects were useful for you guys, because they are some of my favorite past projects that I've created, and I just could not let that content go to waste. So definitely make sure to subscribe to this channel for new videos every single week and for your daily dose of DIY. You can also follow Lone Fox Home on Instagram. I'll put it on the screen for you guys, where I post just like home styling photos, inspiration, some of my DIY projects, and all that sort of stuff over on there. And yeah, I think that's really all for today. I hope you have an amazing day, and yeah, I love you so much, and I'll catch you next one. Bye guys.